So obviously, this is a very difficult question to answer. How much is it worth? That's going to depend on a number of different factors, and unless you have an encyclopedic knowledge of every single card, their population, the current market conditions, we're going to need some data. So today I'm going to offer you 4 specific tools, and these are all websites that I use regularly, and they're all completely free to use, which is an added benefit. Together, these 4 sites, taken in conjunction with one another, can provide you with all of the data you need to make informed collecting decisions. Hey everybody, this is Pokemon Classics, reminding you that the classics never go out of style. You know, I've had a lot of people asking me, how much is this card worth? Or what is the population of this card? Or even, where do you find the data that you use in your market analysis videos? And the answer to that is the internet. The internet is a magical place where there's all sorts of information. And today I'm going to share with you 4 of my favorite websites for researching Pokemon card prices, populations, and just general market trends. Those websites are PokemonPrice.com, PokemonMarketCap.com, PSACard.com, and eBay.com. Now, before I move on, I should warn you guys that every one of these sites has some pretty amazing features that I find helpful in the day-to-day business as a collector. However, each one has some potential flaws as well that hold it back from being perfect. Ultimately, though, if you use a combination of these sites and tools, I think you're going to find everything and more that you need to make informed, educated decisions as a fellow collector. Let's roll into it. All right, so this is the homepage of PokemonPrice.com. As you can see up at the top, there's a search bar where you can search for an individual card, or what I really like is the ability to search by set. And when you're searching for set cards, that's the type of collecting that I do. It's nice to have them all laid out in one spot. So for example, if we wanted to go to Gym Heroes and maybe look specifically for first edition Blaine's Moltres, which is an amazing card, love the artwork on that one, we're going to immediately get the population report on the top, along with a picture of the card, and then we're given the price chart. And the cool thing about this price chart is it's customizable. If we want to just look at the PSA 10s, we can click and remove all of the other ones, and then just get that. By scrolling over it, you can get those individual price points and the sales date, which I think is immensely helpful. Down below, we get a chart that actually lists each one of those sales and those prices, as well as what type of sale it was, auction, best offer, and who the seller was, which is interesting to note. These are the ones that I feature in many of my videos, and they're some of my personal favorites, is my personal favorite site in terms of ease of use and how quick and simple it is. We can just go back and immediately search another one of the cards and just go right down the list. When rating PokemonPrice.com, I would give it 4-star use out of 5. This site is incredibly easy to use, and it's a great way to get a quick trend of what those populations are, where the prices are at on recent sales, and it even provides a line graph that's customizable based on the PSA score to see what the prices look like for any given grade. Some of the problems with PokemonPrice.com, however, include holes in the data. This website is only updated every month or so, and as a result, you're not always going to get the most recent sales, which are the ones that are most needed when making those buying and selling decisions. For these reasons, PokemonPrice.com is probably my favorite site for just getting a brief snapshot of the market trends, what prices are, what populations exist, and which direction the market is moving in. Now, it is certainly not without its flaws. The updates are a bit slow, but still, this is one of my go-to sites. I would highly recommend it. Now, if you want something with more depth, Pokemon Market Cap is the place you want to be. So here's the homepage of PokemonMarketCap.com. As you can see, it's organized by the top 100 cards based on sales and overall market cap value. This one is a bit more difficult to navigate and maybe a little less user-friendly, especially with the way the grades are laid out and the way the cards are organized. We have 3 first edition base set Charizards listed at the top in different grades before we get to a couple unlimited Charizards. Number 6 is Lugia, which is an entirely different set. Now, in all fairness, there is a search bar at the top of the site that can be easily used, but for a homepage, it's just a little bit disorienting. So for demonstration, I thought we'd take a look at first edition PSA 10 Giovanni's Gyarados from the Gym Challenge set. And immediately we're given the supply, which is actually the number in the population report for PSA 10, the market cap, which is the total volume of sales for this card. We get our 30-day average, our 90-day average in terms of the difference. We've got our 30-day low, our 30-day high. In this case, they happen to be the same. And just a ton of information. The all-time high apparently was $2,500. That's down 57%. I assume that that's an outlier and probably a case of a card that was never paid for. The all-time low going back to August 22nd, which not that long ago, at $850. On this side, our data primarily comes in the form of a line graph with different points on it. And so that can be a little bit more difficult to use, I think. But it still has a lot of data available here, more than I really even know what to do with. And unless you're like an experienced stock trader or you're into really in-depth data, it might be a little bit much for the average person. Not only does Pokemon Market Cap provide you with the same information as PokemonPrice.com, but there's a number of stock-related analysis tools that are built into this site. There's a ton of information here, and one could easily get lost with all of that information, which could be both a good thing and a bad thing, depending on what you're after. On the other hand, there are a number of flaws for this website as well. The first being the navigation. When you first arrive on the site, it's not organized by set, it's not organized chronologically, but rather by the most investment-worthy cards at the time. This is an interesting way to do it, but maybe not the most logical for the average user. Along those lines, the user experience here can sometimes be cumbersome. With so much information and a lack of an easy-to-use user interface, it can provide a bit of a learning curve for those that are just looking for some quick information. Now overall, I'm a huge fan of PokemonMarketCap.com. It's one that I keep bookmarked and use regularly. It's a great website. It's one that I would encourage some of you to use if you're looking for that deeper dive. Most people wouldn't think of PSAcard.com being a place to go to find prices, since this is a grading company website after all, and I guess naturally people would assume there's some conflict of interest there. However, PSA recently added an auction prices toolbar that allows users to view different auction prices that have been realized for an individually graded card. The landing zone for PSA's website has a lot going on, but mainly it's this auction prices tab that we're interested in. Now, the auction prices tab forces you to search for which card you're looking for, and it can often be difficult to find exactly what it is you're searching, even if you put in the keywords. So for example, if we wanted to search for first edition Mewtwo, which I've actually done, and we scroll down, it's not the first result, it's not the second result, it's actually the third result. First one is Dutch, then French, then English. And I get that it's probably alphabetized by language, but considering this one is probably overwhelmingly the most popular one is the English one, it could be optimized a bit to have that be the first result. Now, once we do get into the card we're looking for, it's actually pretty sweet. We're given a lot of different data. We can look at the individual auction prices once we click here. We can see population reports. One of my favorite features, though, is this quick snapshot below, which actually breaks down every card for that by grade, tells the most recent price, the average price, and then the population. So if you want a quick range for cards, that's a great way to do it. If you want the scarcity as well, that might inform some of those buying and selling decisions. It's pretty easy to navigate once we're on the card to the prices of the auctions, then we get them in a table format. And just like on PokemonPrice.com, we can divide these up based on whichever grade it is specifically we want to look for. Much like the website seen earlier, there's a lot of data about prices here that can be organized by grades. You can switch over to seeing the population reports, or you can just browse through recent sales by date or by price and get a quick snapshot of what those prices are. The user experience here also leaves a bit to be desired, making navigation from one card to another a tedious process at times. Similarly, data is sometimes missing, and the only data that's provided is scraped immediately through eBay sales, specifically auctions. For these reasons, PSA's auction price tool loses a couple star U's for me, gaining a rating of just 3 star U's out of 5. Now, that's not to say that this isn't a great tool, because you can find a lot of information here, a lot of information that you might want. And if you're the type of person that's working with PSA, you have submissions there, it could be really convenient to look up those prices on the same exact site when you're looking at your PSA returns or considering which cards you want to send. So in that way, it could be a convenient tool. However, it's not one of my go-to tools on a personal basis. Finally, our last one is the one that everybody needs to know how to use, and that's eBay sold listings. Now, I assume most of you have already used eBay for buying and selling and collecting in the past, but this is a tool that everybody needs to know how to use. Now, I've searched for first edition Flareon PSA 9 just as an example, and there's a number of cards that are currently listed, some of which cards that we're after, some of which don't match that description entirely. But knowing what the asking prices are that are out there allows you as a buyer to be careful of not overpaying if there's cheaper alternatives, and as a seller being careful not to undersell if this is massively listed below what other people are asking. Now, to access the sold prices, you actually have to scroll down a bit, and then you get sold and completed listings. By clicking that, now we're going to have access to the actual pricing data, and so we can see that one just sold at auction for $465. That's the most recent price. One of the drawbacks is you're going to have cards that aren't what you're looking for, like this Gold Star Flareon, which that's actually pretty cool, actually, but we're looking for the actual jungle set Flareon. So we've got this one at $385. We've got one just a couple days ago at $500. I would encourage people to throw out the outliers of the ones that seem way too expensive to be true and the ones that are way too low to actually be accurate, and try to establish a meaningful range. And in that way, I think eBay listings like these under the sold listings can be a very valuable tool before making a transaction, either way, as a buyer or as a seller. The advantage of using eBay's sold listings is that you're immediately prompted with every single sale, including the ones that have just happened. Now, there are some limitations on that. Sometimes the best offers won't tell you how much they sold for, but there are ways to get around that. One of the other benefits of eBay is this isn't available just to graded cards, or more specifically PSA graded cards, but also includes raw cards, booster packs, pretty much whatever you're looking for. On the other hand, there are some issues to acknowledge as well, one being the navigation. Typing in each card you're looking for individually in the search listings and scrolling down to just include the sold items is a cumbersome process. It takes a bit of time, especially if you have a list of cards that you're trying to research. Similarly, if you're looking for population reports or you want to know what the scarcity is for particular items, eBay sold listings are not going to help you out with that. Finally, accepted best offers are not visible to the public, so in order to determine what those prices actually were, requires the use of third-party websites and a link to the original listing. Now, once again, I firmly believe that knowledge and experience are the two best assets you can have when collecting cards. Whether it's as a buyer or a seller, the more you can equip yourself with knowledge, the better off you'll be. And all of these tools provide certain insights into the market, whether it's population reports, quick snapshots, or a deep dive of market analytics. I would recommend all four of them, and I'll leave links to each of them down in the description below. Ultimately, if these can help you out with some of your own collecting needs and decisions, then I think it's worth the time to make this video. Anyway, guys, I'm Pokemon Classics, reminding you that the classics never go out of style. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you with the next video. Bye, everybody.